welcome everyone to Data Analysis Scholarship course. This is the 8th of the Data Analysis Scholarship program. Today we will be looking at Excel tables, Excel pivot tables, and Excel word merge. We will be moving from scratch to advanced features. Tonight I remain your facilitator, I remain your anchor, Mr. Franklin, a seasoned data analyst. This scholarship course is powered and brought to you by Soluma Institute of Tech and Management. In Soluma Institute, we train on both tech courses and management courses. Tech courses like software development, AI tools, UI UX, web development, graphic design, data analysis, data science, cyber security, ethical hacking, and so on and so forth. We also train on human resources management, project management, customer relationship, health and safety, facility management, logistics and supply chain management, strategic management, communication management. These are courses in which we cover. We also handle career coaching, which we next section we will be starting by September. We also handle career coaching on how to pass job interviews, how to write a CV, and how to go about in getting a job as easy as possible. Once again, you are welcome. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. That much appreciated. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Much appreciated. Welcome once again, welcome once again. I'm your facilitator for tonight's section. My name is Franklin. Tonight we are going to be looking at Excel tables. We are going to be looking at Excel pivot tables. We are also going to be looking at Excel word merge. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see my screen. That much appreciated. Tonight we are going to be looking at the key features of Excel table, why Excel table is important, why putting your data in tables, and the features of Excel tables, what makes Excel table very important. We are going to be looking at that this evening. We are also going to be looking at one of the powerful tools of Excel tables, one of the powerful tools of Excel tables, and one of the powerful features of Excel, which is pivot table, and also we will be looking at a very important aspect, which is Excel word merge. If you are here with me, go to the scholarship group, drop in the scholarship group, let everyone know. Once again, we are live. Last week I have very important program I went for last week, and today we are back again. Yesterday and Tuesday we couldn't hold this section due to some logistic challenges and unforeseen circumstances. Today we are back. Go to the scholarship group, tag anyone, tag as many as possible. Let them know we are live, and of course, as we know, attendance is very, very mandatory for the certification of this program. Alright, if you can hear me, let me know once again, drop in the comment once again, let me know if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. That much appreciated. Today we will be going through a powerful feature in Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word. We will be seeing how we can automate some tasks and make it very easy and very simple for us. Let me know. Kayinde, good to have you. Joseph, Kayinde, good to have you. on this particular call. Daniel, good to have you. Let's head to the scholarship group. Everyone here, please head over to the scholarship group. Let everyone know that we are up, we are live. Tag as many as possible. Tag as many as possible in the scholarship group. Hit the like button and also share the link of this training tonight to benefit someone else. Who is curious about Excel, who wants to learn data analysis using Microsoft Excel. It's going to be an interesting ride this night. It's going to be an interesting ride this night. All right, good to have you, good to have you once again. Okay, without further ado, let's get into what we have tonight. I will try as much as possible to be fast. I will try as much as possible to be a bit fast and then explain very, very well what we have and then give us the assignment for today that we will have to submit. And please, if you haven't submitted your project assignment for week 1 and week 2, it is very, very expedient and very, very important you do so. Very, very expedient and very, very important. If not, the certification for this course will not get to you. Please, I will encourage everyone to take it very, very serious. Also, if you have any challenge, feel free to reach out. Feel free to drop your challenge in the chat box. As you are doing the project assignment, you encounter the challenge. Do well to drop it in the chat box. If I have time, I might attend to it live. If I don't have the time, I will attend to it personally. Some of you have reached out to me on the aspect of VLOOKUP, where based on that your system or the version of your Excel doesn't have XLOOKUP. Now, I need to state this: VLOOKUP can also do that for you if you arrange your data effectively. If your data is arranged effectively. All right. Let's get cracking. Let's get into what we have for tonight. I'm going to be making use of this data set for our Excel table today. Now, if we look at what we have, this data set is something familiar to us. We have this, we have our payroll, which is this, we have used student result, and then we have also this, a table. This is a table. We have already formatted this to be in a table. I'm going to be showing us why we should put our data set in a tabular format. When we work, our data set should be in tabular form. This is a range. This data set you are seeing right here is a range of data, not formatted in table. Now, what are the advantages of having your data set being put in an Excel table? That you have this spreadsheet in Excel spreadsheet in columns and in rows doesn't necessarily mean that this data set is formatted as Excel table. And formatting your data set in Excel table gives you certain leverage. I'm going to do something here now. I'm going to do something here now. Give me that permission to do that. I'm going to copy this up to this salary range. Let me copy this, Control C, and let me create a new sheet, and then let's say I paste it here, Control V. Now I have pasted this as a range. So what I will do, let me highlight them and then double click here to fit all of them together. Now let me select this as well. Please follow me, Control C, and then let me come to this place and paste it, Control V. Let me highlight the two, double click here to do that. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do, let me reduce this. Let me reduce this as well. Why am I doing that? So that we can easily see that. So let me delete this too. Let me delete, right click and delete. Why I'm doing that, I want to zoom in so that we can see the both tables together. Beautiful. This is what we have here. Now, why do I have to separate them? Because I'm going to format one as a table and then leave the other one as a range. So that's why I need to do that. Let me copy their column headers, Control C. Let me come over to this place. Let me paste it, Control V, and then let me move it to this place. So I'm hold Control in order to duplicate. So I have duplicated that. Now what we are doing here is I want to show us the benefit, the importance of Excel table, and why when you are working as an analyst, whether you are analyzing financial data, school results, whether you are HR data, employee data, whatever data set you are working on, patients data, logistics data, whatever data set, customer data, you need to ensure that your data is formatted as a table. That helps in automations, that helps in ensuring that we reduce the work time. So I'm going to format this first one in a table. Now to format this as an Excel table, you click here and go to format as table. Now if you select any of these, something will happen. Only this will be formatted. Only the active cell. Remember this, we call this active cell. Only the active cell will be formatted. Now, why? Because in this place we are formatting only this. But what if I click here and go to insert? Now, under insert, I have pivot table, which we are going to be looking at, tonight as well. But here I'm going to click table. Now if I click table, you notice automatically Excel dictates the range. Excel dictates the range of table. Why? Because this table, these data sets are together. They are all together. So what that entails is that when this happens, you will notice it said my table have headers. Now peradventure, there was no header here, there wasn't any header here before, and we just want to format only this. We can say my table doesn't have headers. Now if it doesn't have, now see what I mean. Let me do that. If I click on this now and go to select table, you see this what we have. Excel dictates this range. Now it's saying my table has headers. It doesn't have. So since it doesn't have, if I say OK, it will create a header column for me where I can manually type in the column name. These are what we can call field names or column names. However, this is not the best approach, so I will do Ctrl Z. I will do Ctrl Z again to let it be together. Hence, I will go to Insert and come over and click on Table. This is one way to do it. This is one way to do it. If I click on this, it will select all. Hence, however, let me cancel. Another way you can do it is to use a shortcut key, which is Ctrl T. A shortcut key called Ctrl T. That's Control T. That's the shortcut key. Control T. So to do that now, I'm going to click anywhere within here and press Control T. Automatically Excel dictates this. So here my table have headers. Of course, it has header, full name, position, this and that. So I'm going to say OK. Now automatically, once that is done, you see that Excel automatically formats my data set to beautify it, put it, make it look good, and what have you. Now, one of the things that it does is, because of this, if I do any further, if I do calculations, Excel will automatically update it for me. Now, what do I mean? Let's take for example here, I want to sum up the total salary. I have here total salary, for example. Maybe on this place I have total salary, for example. Here I want to calculate the total sum. That's to say equals, I put U, double click here, and then highlight down, this is small range, and hit enter. Now what do I have? I have 3 million something. Now on this particular one that is range, let me do the same thing as well. Let me have total salary. And then let me calculate the same thing, equals sum. Double click here, highlight the entire range and hit enter. The same result. I'm having the same result, of course. I'm having the same result. However, now let's say tomorrow we receive another data. What happens now? Let's say tomorrow we receive another data as regards to this. Let's say we receive another data, these ones. Let's say we receive these ones. Control C, copy, and then let's come over to this place. Let me first paste to this one. Watch their results. This one is 3 point something million. Now watch their result. If I paste this here, Control V, I have pasted it. Watch, the result didn't change. Nothing, the result didn't change. Now watch what happens. Let me copy again, Control C. Let me paste here and say Control V. Automatically you notice that the table and automatically update my result, update my total salary. So this is not a situation whereby you will tell you, are you sure you remember to update it? What this does is that you will still come here in the formula to extend it down. You will still have to extend it from when it's as a range. So when you are working financial data analysis, it is highly recommended that you format your data set and make it in a tabular form. Result automatically updates the stuff. It automatically updates the stuff whenever you data. It automatically updates the results whenever you receive new data. Please, someone confirm it. Someone confirm if you can hear me. Someone confirm if you can hear me. Please confirm if you can hear me. Confirm if you can hear me, please. It's raining here. Network is it's raining here. It's kind of raining here. Confirm if I'm audible. Confirm if you can hear me. It's like network is a bit of a challenge here. Confirm if you can hear me, if you can see, if my screen is visible, if you can hear me, kindly confirm. And if you are just joining, I will ask that you hit the like button on this section tonight. You can as well share it to someone that needs to learn this. Also, I need that feedback from us. Confirm if you can hear me. Confirm if I'm audible. Tonight I'm going to be this night. Confirm if you can hear me. Drop in the comment, drop in the chat. If you can hear me, if you can see my screen. You can hear me if you can see my screen. I'm on the chat, I'm still expecting our feedback so that I know that we're on the same page. I will need our feedback so that I know we're on the same page. Let me know if you can hear me. Kindly let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Much appreciated. Okay. All right. Now, what we are saying, check this. Now, what you are seeing here is you have these banded rows. If you don't want it, you cannot check it. What is banded rows? You are seeing all these blue colored rows. If you don't want it, you cannot check it. What is banded rows? You are seeing all these blue colors. If you don't want it, you can remove it. It's not. If you don't want it, you can remove it. It's not there. If you not there, if you want it in column, it here, you see it in a column format, column, the row part, and that. So that is on this aspect. Then the next thing you also need to know, as regards to this is that while working on spreadsheet, especially in Excel, you need to name your tables. If you are even working on pivot tables, you need to name your tables. If you are even working on pivot table, which we are going to get to, whatever, you need to name them, because when you are using some certain functions, when you are going to do your visualizations, data reporting, data connection, table connections, you need to know the table and the data set you are working with. So here, let's say we call it employee details, for example. Now, in naming your table, please note it doesn't have space. It doesn't have space. Employee table, it's not that you put employee space. No, it doesn't work like that. Or you say employee underscore. Somehow this is accepted, but employee space. Now, if I put space and hit enter, it will tell me the syntax of this name is incorrect. So I need to correct it. So to correct it, I will have to obey the rules. Employee underscore, I write it together anyway, any of them, employee underscore details, or I write them together. All right, I hit enter. Now that is the name of this table. That's the name of this table. Whereas this is just a range. Now that's not only stuff concerning table. A table can absorb. Now for example, if I come here and then insert a new column, you notice something here. Once I insert a new column, and let's say in this place I type in pension. Now you see automatically Excel absorbs this as a table. So whatever I type in here automatically is part of this table. If there is a calculation that I'm doing here, automatically Excel accepts it. Now watch, if I want to calculate pension, and in calculating pension, for example, let's say let me call this so that let me call it housing allowance, and let's say housing allowance is 20% of basic salary we have here. I can say equals to this. What happened? What equals to this times 0.2. That's 20%. So that means 20% of basic salary is that. So I can now hit enter. Now automatically I don't need to now calculate for others. Automatically Excel dictates what I'm looking for and does that for the rest. Whereas if I'm working on this, if I put here housing, for example, if I put here housing plus to this times 0.2 and hit enter, only this one will be calculated. If I need it for the rest, I will still have to come here and double click for the rest to be calculated. So here working with a table makes it faster. It makes it faster for repetitive task. For the task I know that will be repetitive, it makes it faster. That is one of the stuff of a table. Now let's get cracking as well. As we are here, if I move down, let me remove what is here. Let me delete this. I freeze the let me unfreeze. Okay. Now if you notice something, as I was scrolling down, something happened. Now let's go up. These are column headers. These are column headers, field names, column headers. Here, this is C, D, E, F. Now let's scroll down. Watch here closely, and you will see it down. You will notice something, that because this is formatted as a table, as I'm going down, Excel automatically retains my table columns, my table headers. Excel automatically retain my table headers, remove CD stuff and replace it with my table headers. Whereas this one, whereas the one on range, I will not know the header if I don't freeze it. I will not know the headers if I don't freeze it. But for tables, I wouldn't bother freezing anything because Excel, provided my active cell is within the table. Provided it's within the table. If I click out here, automatically is gone within this table. I'm no longer, my attention is not in the table. If I click in, it comes back. So this is also another feature in Excel that Excel table helps us to achieve. Instead of freezing, we retain the table headers. That's on that. Now another thing we can do with this is that within the table, when I come to this table, I can turn total rows. I can turn on the total rows. So once I click on this, you will notice something. You will notice something. So you will notice something. Automatically Excel insert extra row that calculates the total. This what we have here is the total. That's what we call subtotal. It calculates everything for this. So for this one, if what we are looking for is not the total, if we want to know the average, we click this drop down arrow here. Then you can calculate average, count number, max. This, if we want to know the maximum housing allowance, we select this. Automatically, this is the maximum allowance we are paying for. We are paying as this, and I think this is the person here for the maximum. If we are looking for minimum, we select. It shows 30 something. Here salary, if you want to know the total salary without bothering putting formulas, you just click on this and then you come to put your total salary here. Once you see this, just know that the cell is not long enough to contain it. So that is another privilege of a table. Whereas in range, the range doesn't have such stuff. So here we can activate our total row column. That's on that. Now let's say you are working with the table and you don't want this to be in a table again. You don't want it to be in a table. Okay, before I do that, let me talk about the table styles. I have talked about the table style option, banded column, banded rows, total. You can remove the header. The header row is gone. You can remove it. If you don't want the header, you can add it. You can remove the first column, last column, as the case may be. Here you can decide to choose different table designs, different table styles. You can decide to choose different table style. That is based on your choice. You can decide to choose different tables. So that's on this aspect. Now, for example, you don't want this to be in tabular form again. You can convert it to range. So once you come here, you click on convert. It will ask you, do you want to convert the table to normal range? You say yes. So automatically you notice that the pivot, you notice that what do we call it? The filter button is gone and the table design tab is no longer active. You notice, but it retains the formatting. It retains the formatting, the design, and what have you. Now, if we add something else, it will not absorb it. Now let's say I want to add this. Control C. Let me add it here, Control V. You see that our stuff remains unformatted, is not part of this. Why? Because this is no longer a table. This is no longer a table, is as the same as this. The only difference is that this one is not formatted, this one is not formatted, this one is formatted as by adding colors, just coloring and basic background formatting. Whereas this doesn't have, that's the only difference. But this data set is the same as this. It's a range. Is the same as the range. That's what we have. Okay, that's on the exact table. That's on the exact table. If you add something at the front. Now another thing I need to, and let me Control C, and then bring back the table. Now we have this to be in the table. So here, if I add something, let's say ID, you will notice something that Excel will recognize this. So here is not added as if I put here 1001 and move down. It's not part of this step. It's not. Now if I take this, forward to this place, to this particular one, I reduce the size. Now immediately I did that, you notice that automatically it's been absorbed. Automatically is being absorbed in this particular table. So when you are working on Excel, Excel absorbs whatever is at the front or downward. So if I put this here now, for example, Excel will not absorb it. If I put it here, nothing. If I put anything on top here, nothing will happen. But if I put this down, if I put this same number down, now if I put this same number down here, for example, let me wait first, let me remove the total value because that total is separating it from there. Now if I put this number down here, you notice automatically Excel absorbs it as part of what we have and automatically calculates 20% of this, because we are working on 20% of already automatically calculates 20%. So what I want to let us know is that when you are working with the Excel table, it can only absorb something in the front or something downward. Something above it or something before it, it will not absorb it. It will not absorb it as part of the table. So let's bear that in mind as regards to Excel tables. Now I have talked about learning your table, converting to range, summarizing the pivot table. When we get to pivot table, you can also insert slicers. Now when this slicer is one of the things we use in making dashboard design during data visualization and what have you. However, if I select department and say okay, now I can quickly use this as my stuff to be able to get quick insight from this table. I can decide to use it to get quick insight from this table. So if peradventure I can decide to move it here or place it on top here. So to place it on top, I can come here to increase the columns to make it 2. I can make it 3, and then let's say make it 4. All right. So if I do that, I can increase here, come over here to reduce this. Now with this, which is still here, I can make it like this and then increase it like this, reduce it so as to have Okay. All right. Now, having stuff like this, if this slicer will help me in a way, if I want to learn from finance or to look at department from HR, for example, I can decide to select. I can decide to select it. If I'm looking for employees from HR, if I click on HR, automatically it brings me employees from HR. If I need the ones from IT, it shows me the one from IT. If I need the one from finance, it shows me. If I need the one from marketing, operations, this blank, that's this one of blank because it doesn't have then that one we added. And then if I want, I cancel this, it brings all of them. So slicer is a way of filtering. It's a way of filtering when you put your table in when you format your data table, you have access to slicers, and then you can use it to quickly get insight from the data. You can select position. I can choose to select a date depending on what I'm looking for. That is in Excel table. That's Excel table. Now let's look at Excel pivot table. Pivot table in Microsoft Excel. Now, pivot table in Microsoft Excel is used mostly to quickly analyze data and get insights. We use it to quickly analyze data and get insights into the data, and is most suitable for large data sets. Having to write formulas and analyze data set within seconds. You can use pivot table to analyze large data sets, and it's very easy, very simple, very easy to understand and to use. Pivot table is a powerful feature in Microsoft Excel that we use to analyze large data sets just by drag and drop. Click and drop. You drag a particular column header and you put it, other things takes care of itself. That's the pivot table. Alright, now to use this data set for what we have, let me zoom out a bit. Okay. Okay, let me do something here. Let me reduce so that I will see all of them at once, all the columns at once. All right. Now we have this pivot table. We need to, let's say we want to get certain insights. We want to get certain insights from our data set. This is large data sets. Let me see if I have okay, that's not the data set I'm looking for. Okay, let's still make use of this. Now to make this in pivot, to be a pivot, employees, let's call it employees. Now to convert it to pivot table, we go to this. You go to insert. Once you click here, you will see pivot table, and then you click on it. it brings up this dialog box, it pop up this dialog box, and automatically exert pop up this dialog box, and automatically exert dictates the range of data. It dictates it. You see, with these dash lines moving around, it shows you the range of the data you are working with. So that is saying the name of the table. Yes, employees. Where do you want it? Do you want it in a new worksheet or existing worksheet? Existing worksheet is that if you want to perform the analysis still on this same worksheet. If you select this, you need to want it to be. Click where you want it to be. However, mostly we want it to be in a new worksheet. Mostly we want it to be in a new worksheet, and then we say okay. We now have a new sheet. This is sheet 20. We now have a new sheet. Let me insert. Now if I click inside, the pivot table field will show. If I click out pivot table, this is the pivot table 3. You say click in this area to work with the pivot table report. So outside here I'm not in pivot table, inside here I'm in the pivot, and here we can click and drag and move the pivot table to any location of our choice. Once you have here, but we can, let's still maintain here, let's still leave it here. If you want to remove it, once your cursor is like this, 4 arrows pointing east, north, south and west, to click, hold and drag, you will move it away from there. Anywhere you want it of it, come to this place, it will be there. If you want it to be here, it will be, you just move to the end, it will be there. If you want it, okay, it doesn't accept the top, only right and left. Okay, now, but allow it to be here. Now, once you do that, you will see that from the table we created this pivot table, all the column names, full name, last position, department, this is what we have here. Full name, position, department, down to net pay. That's what we have. Now, if we want to analyze based on department, for example, we can, if we click here, Excel will dictate the most likely aspect of either rows, columns, values, or filter this should be. But if you don't want Excel to dictate on its own, you can click, hold and drag and put it anywhere you want. Any calculation. Very easy. It's do sum if. What we would have, for us to get exactly what we have here, for us to do that using formula, what I can do is still come here, for example, and put department, and then maybe I put total salary. Now for department, I will now have to say equals to bring unique. Now come to this place and come to department here, hold Ctrl, hold Shift, press the down arrow, hit enter. That's what I will do. I apply the unique formula, it gets me this. It gets me this. Under the total salary, I will now come here and say sum if. The range and summing, I will come there to get this sum if. The range, come over to this place, and this is the salary, hold Ctrl, hold Shift, select comma. What is the criteria? I will come back here. It's called sum if. I select this. That's the criteria. and then I will put comma, and then it's telling me, sorry, I made a mistake. The range. So once the range, I will come here and select department. That's the range department. You see what I'm passing through now. So once I put comma, I will come back here, select this as my department, put comma, and then go over to this place as well and put the sum range, which is salary, hold Control, hold Shift down, and hit enter. Now it does the same thing for me, as you can see. This is the same, but that you saw how the thing took me time just to get this. It took me time just to get that, and that's for just only this one. Imagine I do that for all this and then do the total again. That is what pivot table just helped me to do. By dragging department to this, it does this. Dragging the salary to this, it gives me this. So that is one of the powerful features in Microsoft Excel. We use it to analyze, get insight, large data sets. No matter the number of data sets, it's very easy. Just drag and drop. Now, let's say, for example, I want to get here, I want to get the sum. At the same time, I want to know the percentage of this as regards to the grand total. What's the percentage of this as regards to the grand total? Let's say I want to get that. What do I do? I can still carry this salary and drop here again. Now, in this case, it gives me the same stuff, but here I can click on this particular one. Follow me, please. Right click on it, go to value field setting. Is it that? No. Right click this. Okay, I think is this, no? Okay, is this one. Show values as, not value field settings. Show value as. So once I go to say show value as and select percentage of grand total. In other words, we want it to show us percentage of this of grand total. I click on it. Automatically it shows us what we have here. It shows us the percentage based on grand total. This one is this one is this, set 14 point this is 15 point this, we as regards to this. If you calculate it, is correct. If you calculate the percentage, is correct. So once for you to calculate the percentage is this over this times 100 over 1. So if I come here and say equals to this divided by this, that's all, times, okay, what I will do, let me delete this first. What I should do is, if I come here and make it percent already, let me format it as percent. I have taught us that before, so I can now say equals to this divided by this. Hit enter. Automatically you see it is 20%. Here, if we increase the decimal places, we will see the 20.21. So it's correct. Instead of doing this using formula X in pivot table, you can get this as well. Then here you can come over to this place and rename it percentage. You can just name it something like this and you say okay, it becomes. So that is one of the things you can do. Now, still on pivot table, once you get a pivot table, you will see this called pivot table analyze, and you will see pivot table design. Now in this pivot table, we are making use of this. If you want to use this, if you want to use this, if you want to use this, there are different pivot table designs depending on your choice, depending on your choice, the one you want. Now any of them is your choice. If you want this, if you want this, anyone, your choice. Now that's on the design. Another aspect is in the bounded. If you want bounded columns, you can select. If you want bounded rows, you can select as well, but that's not necessary for me. Then the next thing is subtotal. If you have any calculation that involves subtotal and you don't want it, you remove the subtotal. So here, do not show subtotal if you don't want it. Show all subtotal on top, show below. We are going to look at a data set that has subtotal. Then here, grand total is this. This is grand total. If we don't want it, we can come here and remove it. In most cases, when we get to data visualization, we will be working without grand total. When we will be doing data visualization, we will be working without someone say good evening. Okay, you have missed anyway, but not much, I might say. Okay, you can remove this. Once you say node of grand total is off, if you want it, you on. It will be on. So that is for this. That is for this. Then report layer, this is not really necessary for us. If you want in compact form, it's already there. If you want in outline form, if you want in tabular form, it's not all that necessary for us. Now, you remove blank rows, blank lines if you want. Now that's on the design. However, in pivot table analyze, there's something I want to show us. Here is where you know, maybe we can call it department salary, for example, and hit enter. That's the name. Now in pivot table, you can insert a slicer, you can insert a timeline. That's what we call filter connection. Is not valid for this data set yet. Is this. Now, one of the stuff is that if you want to change your data source, if you want to change the data source from here, you can get it here when you click on this. That's you no longer want the data source from being employee, you can change from here, but it's okay for us. Now, still in this data set, we'll be looking at this. Let me talk about this. If you like this, you click inside, but your field panel is not showing. You come with your pivot table, it is supposed to, when you click inside, your field panel will show. However, if you witness such challenge, when you click on your pivot table analyze, and then come here, you will see that this is not active. The buttons are active, field headers are active, but the field table panel will show. Alright, now having explained that, the next thing we are going to look at is what we call pivot chart. We can get a chart, pivot chart, from the pivot table. So if I click on pivot chart to draw a from this, I can choose this, start this, somewhere you have this. Now, another aspect is on the pie, you can also see some of this depending on your choice. This is donor charts. This is the 3D. This one is 2D. This here, and I don't. Okay, you like that suits you is fine. Any of them is okay, depending on your choice. It all depends on your choice anyway. So this is the chart style. You can change the colors of the chart via this. You can see these are for basic chart formatting. You can do that from this chart color. Another thing you need to do is you can change the chart layout. You see what we have here. It shows us finance. You can see this. It shows department and some of salaries depending on your choice. You can add some chart elements like chart title, like chart data label, legend, and so on and so forth. Here you can switch rows, you can select data, you can change chart type. From here, if you don't want it to be donut, and then say okay, it becomes a 3D format kind of data. If you want your choice, we are going to get more of, to know more of this when we get fully into data visualization. When we get fully into data visualization using our pivot tables and what have you. So that is on the pivot chart. We can also look at pivot your chart. Very important. I need to stress that. You name your chart, very important. Also, we can insert slicers, we can insert timelines. Now here, I can come to pivot table analyze and say insert slicer. So to insert slicers, I can come here and let's say I insert based on date. Let me say date if it's timeline. If it's date, I should use timeline. If I'm going to do this based on position, let's say I use based on position and then hit enter. This comes out here. I can let me delete this. I can decide to place this here. And then come to my slicer design. Let's say select this or this, anyone. Anyone actually is fine. Then if I want it into columns, I can do this. That's based on our choice. So if I need to know, if I want to know the sum of salary, these years are gone. But if I bring this out, you see 2022 to 2025. If I bring this out as well, the same thing. So if the same is sub the same and what have you, now so that makes it, I don't want it that way. I can move this to column. I can move it to the column. Please, are we up now? Someone saying network, confirm. Let's confirm once more. Can we hear me? Can we hear me? Can we hear me? Confirm if you can hear me, please. Confirm if you can hear me. All right, it's okay now. Please, can we hear me now? The network is doing off and on. Can we hear me? Let's confirm once again. Let's confirm if we can hear me. Let's confirm if you can hear me, please. I think we are on now. All right, beautiful. Now, like I was saying, I said there's something I wanted to show us based on what we have here. If what we are seeing here is sum, what we are seeing here is sum of salary. Now, if we want to count how many, maybe to count the number of salary we paid or number of persons in the finance department and those in the 2022, to know the number of employees in the finance department in the year 2022, this and that as the case may be, and the number of times we paid. You see this drop down arrow here. This drop down arrow, when you click on it, this pop-up menu will appear. You go to value field settings. Once that comes up, instead of selecting sum, you select count. So once you select count, you say okay, it shows you count of number of times we paid salary, count of salary, number of times we paid salary for employees, 2022 and what have you. It gives us the count. Now, if you want to calculate average, not sum, if you want to use average salary paid in 2022 in finance department, if we don't want to use the sum, we want to use the average, we select this and we say okay. Now we have average salary paid and what have you. You see that here. So with this stuff here, values field setting, if you want to get the product, the maximum, standard variation, deviation, and what have you, you select here. So that is on this aspect. Now the next thing is to look at this number format. If you now want to, on this our data set as regards to pivot table, we want to format it as regards to currency, we click number format, go to currency. Let's say you want to format it as a naira, you come here and then you look for naira, we have this, you select this and then you say okay, and you say okay. That's okay. What I have here, the number we have here is kind of high based on how will I put it, based on decimals, but that's how you can format, how will I put it, that's how you can format in naira, format your currencies, put it in naira. Okay. Then the next, I think for now, we are done on pivot table based on what we have. we are moving to the next stuff, which is Excel word merge. As we progress on this course, we are going to be getting more on pivot table when we get to data visualization. All right, now let's get to Excel merge. Now I have this. What is Excel word merge? Excel word merge is an aspect where we use to automate a task. We use it to automate a task. What that simply means is this: if, let's say, this monthly salary notification letter, if we want to send it to all the employees, and the salary notification will bear the same content but different, this same content, this is the same letter, but each of them will have their own allowances and what have you, but bears different contents, different values but the same content. We make use of Excel word merge. Here, let's say we have this as maybe employment letter, offer letter. We are pleased to offer you position of this. This is a letter sent out to new employees being employed in different departments. New employees being employed in different departments. This is the letter we want to send out to them, to their email, for them to print out. Now, we don't want a case where we will be doing repetitive tasks. We come here, we change the person name, change the position, change the department, change the name, and then start date, department again, the salary the person is earning, and then we print this out, send, or we copy this and send, and then come to this and change it one after the other. That is manual task. Is repetitive. Is something that we will not be very much appreciative. Or let's say, for example, or you have a certificate, or you are working in the admin, or so you have a certificate, maybe award certificate, and here you are going to be typing the name of the awardees. Each person, you put their name, you type and print, another you type and print. You might make mistake. You most likely will make mistake. For example, a set of core members passed out today. And I remember when we passed out as core members, then one of the things our AGI will tell you is that when you receive your certificate, ensure you check the name thoroughly and see that no mistake is being made on your certificate. Why? Is because then certificate is typed in manually, the name are being typed in manually or being written manually. The NYSC discharge certificate then is being written manually. So at that time, if there is a mistake in your name, you take it back, you give it to them, and they take it back to make the adjustment. Sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes weeks to come out. But now, nobody will say that they made a mistake on his or her name when he or she received his certificate. Why? Because the system is making use of what we refer to as merge. Excel word merge. What that simply means is that NYSC is now lifting your name from the database, from the NYSC database based on the name you supplied to NYSC. Now, when you are registering, you enter your full name, and it's from that full name that they will take it, lift it to put as your name in your certificate. No longer a case of making mistakes on my name. Maybe you are from the east and you served in the west, and the person that prepared your certificate might not be someone from the east, and some name he doesn't really know how to pronounce it or write it, and in typing it he or she makes mistake. Human beings can make mistakes. So with that mistakes are happening over time, even in the administrative work, even in the finance analysis, and even in the medical analysis, logistics analysis. However, The mail merge helps us to clarify or sort out all these errors. What is that? How do we do that? That is one thing we are going to learn this night in order to be able to rectify some of those errors. Now let's proceed. Let's begin in certificate awarding certificate. Now let's take for example, we call it Excel word mail merge. Now here is the trick. The names for here now, we have name of awardee. The names of persons that are to receive this certificate award is stored in Excel spreadsheet. Their names are stored in Excel spreadsheet. And this certificate is designed in Microsoft Word. I'm giving us that hint now. Let's say this certificate is designed in Microsoft Word. That's why we call it Excel Word Mail Merge. Excel Word Mail Merge. Now, this certificate is designed in Microsoft Word, but it's going to be printed out and then give it to the awardees. And the names are being saved or stored in the Excel spreadsheet. Now, let's take for example, in Excel spreadsheet, I have, let's say I have this certificate list. I have used it before for my students, but not based on this certificate. I used it based on let's see this. I can't see that certificate again. I use it based on maybe university certificate stuff where you have the certificate number, you have the first name, last name, the department, the faculty, the CGPA, the honors, the degree, dates of awarding the certificate, the semester, let's say rent semester, what have you. Now, based on OAU certificates, these things are part of the certifications. These things are part of what is in the OAU certificate. However, the certificate can come as a design, a particular design, a particular template the school is using. Now, the person that is printing out the certificate, instead of going to be typing these names one after the other or coming to copy it and be pasting one after the other, the person can go ahead to save it as in Excel spreadsheet. And then once that is being saved, we call it certificate list. Now let me save it again. Let me go to file, come to save as, and then in save as, let me save it to desktop. On the desktop, I'm going to save it as certificate list 2. And then I hit enter. Now this is saved in desktop. Now I have saved this certificate list in desktop. And here is just 20 lists. Let's say this is the list of awardees. Let's say this is the list of awardees. And this is the date. Now having saved this, then come over to my Microsoft Word, to my certificate. What do? I will have to link Microsoft Excel to this Microsoft Word. Now to do that, I'm going to go to mailings. Under mailings, I'm going to go to select recipients. Now under select recipients, follow me gradually, I'm going to go to use existing list. Why? Because I have a list already saved in Excel. I have a list already existing in Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to click on this, use an existing list. It will bring up this dialog box. I'm going to go to the desktop where I saved it and then search for the lists. Here is it, certificate list 2. I'm going to select it and then say open. Now it brings this. This is the only sheet in that certificate. And when this dialog box shows up, please ensure that this place is marked good. This place is checked. If it's empty like this, if this place is empty like this, just come here and click to check it. Once that is done, You go and click OK. Now automatically we have merged Excel sheets with this Microsoft Word. Now if I come here, let me come here and remove and delete this. Once I delete this, I will come to insert field, merge field. I will come here, you will see first name, I will click on it, it shows. I click on space, I hit space to give space, come back here again and click on last name. It shows. Why? Because this text box I have here is not long enough. Let me drag it further. You will see the first name, last name. However, also note that it takes the font style that I assigned to this place. Now I will also come to this date. Let me remove it, delete it, and then come to insert next field again and insert my date. Let's say this is what I want. Now what this entails is that I don't need to be typing their names one after the other. Now let's go over to this place and preview. Let's go over to this place and preview. If I preview this, you see the name is now Rita Ayo. The date 21 days 2024. Now here, if I move to this number 2, it shows me Franklin Abdullahi. If I go to the certificate list, you will see that first one is Rita Ayo, second one, the number 2 is Franklin Abdullahi, the department and what have you. Now, if I come back here, I can come to this one, send to the printer, and the printer will print. I don't need to type their name again. I go to number 2, I print. If the person makes mistake, that will be from the person, not from us, because we got it directly from the database, what the person provided to us. I'm looking at this. Let's say this is NYSC certificate, for example. That will be printed, and the person will move to number 3, send it to the printer and print. We go to number 4, send it to the printer, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, as the case may be. As we progress, you see all this up to 20, which is the last one. I think, okay, 19. The whole row is 20, but the number is 19. So this is the last, which is 19. So with this, it makes it very easy for us what we would have done repetitively. Why? Because all these are the same. The only thing that changes is the name, the date is there. So this is what we refer to as Excel word name merge. Now let's look at another example on the monthly salary. Here I'm going to teach us Please confirm if you can hear me now. Confirm if you can hear me now. Confirm if you can hear me now. I'm going to go over it again. Okay. I guess this is where you stop hearing me. I'm going to go over to this again. I need us to know where you stop hearing me. I need you to tell me where you stop hearing me. I think it's on the monthly salary notification letter. Let me know where you stop hearing me so that I can explain that we just have a few minutes to go. Can someone let me know where you stop hearing me? Please. I need someone to tell me, type in the chat where you stop hearing me so that I will run over it again. I believe is on this particular monthly salary notification. Now what I was saying is this. The same way we use in the certificate is yes, monthly salary, I think so. So the same way in this aspect, the same way we did in the certificate here is the same way we are going to do something here. Now, here in monthly salary, let's say you want to notify your employees about certain conditions in monthly salary. Let me delete this. You want to notify them certain stuff. And here we want to tell them, okay, this is your basic salary, this is your allowance, this is your gross pay, this is your pension, this is your tax, net pay. And then we are sending this notification letter to all the employees concerning their salary so that they see if there is any complaint, if there is any questions to ask, the person will ask before the salary is being paid. So to do that, instead of coming to be typing this for this person, type this for this person, type this for this person, and print, and then delete it and type it again for another person, print, delete it and type it again to another person and forward as email, either typing or you send as email. Instead of doing that, you get the list where the payroll is being prepared. Let's say this is, let's say this is the employee payroll, which I renamed it employees. This is the payroll that is being summary of the payroll prepared. We see the confirmation date, we see the summary of the payroll prepared or summary of the employee details payroll prepared. We have the salary, basic salary, we have the allowances, we have the gross, we have the pensions and what have you. Now, we have saved this, we have this list in our Excel sheet. The thing we do is we head over to our letter in Microsoft Word. Now, once that is, we do that, we come to select recipient. In select recipient, you go to use existing lists. Once you click on it, it brings you here. I saved it on the desktop. I'm going to search it on the desktop here. I'm going to search for it. That's it here, employee data set. So I select it and say open. Here it brings me this dialog box. Here on that worksheet called employee data set 2, there are different sheets on that workbook. Rather, that workbook called employees data set 2, there are different worksheets, different sheets. Now the one I'm looking for is the sheet called employees. So I will select it and then ensure that this place is marked and say okay. So once that is done, I have linked my sheet, employee sheet, that record on the employee sheet to this particular table or to this particular document here. To this particular document. So once that is done, I can now come here on this place, today's date. Let's say today's date is 8. I put here 807. I think is it 8. Today's date I think is 7/008/2025. For example, now on the employee name, instead of typing the person's name, I will just highlight it. Instead of typing the name, I will highlight and go to insert match field and select full name. Already this is on preview. Let me remove it on preview and click enter. Come over to this place, click this, come here, select department, hit enter to move this to this, merge field, select position, hit enter, come over to there, then the employee name, come to merge field, select the full name, month and year. Let's say we are talking about the July salary. We are in August now. Let's say we are talking about July 2025. Now as follows. Here we have under basic salary, we select this. Move to this. Allowances, we select this. Let's go down. Move to gross. Under the gross, we select this. Come to pension deduction, we select pension. We come to payee, we select tax, then we come to net pay, we select net pay. Now this is what we have. However, I was saying earlier that once this is done, and let's say we are paying this salary batch by batch. Let's say in our organization we pay salary batch by batch. For example, we pay salary batch by batch. Now, let's say we pay those that their salary is below 200. And then later we pay those their salary, their net pay is above 200. Let's say, for example, that is the case. Now, instead of drafting different letter for each of them or trying to type a separate letter for them, we can prepare the same template. But here, we are going to make use of, we are going to put some rules. We are going to put some rules. We go to these rules and select if then else. Now on this if then else, our rule we are working on is that if the salary, as you can see here, if the salary is above, if the net pay is above 200,000, that means the person will get his own salary by next week, for example. So I will come here and look for net pay. So I will select net pay. If net pay is greater than, let's say 200,000. If it's greater than 200,000, what will you have? You can now say your salary will be processed by next week, for example. Then if not, you can now type here your salary is already For example, I'm just typing anything here, processed, so that's to show us stuff. Now this is kind of okay. Now if your salary is above 200,000, just note your own will be processed by next week. But if your salary is below 200,000, it's already processed. That's what this is. And then we say okay. Now you already see if certain stuff, your salary will be processed by next week. That means the first person here is over 200,000. The first person. So for us, other things, the manager name, the department, the company name, whatever. Now let's look at what we have here. When we preview, we see is Mitchell Stokes from finance department, position sales rep. Dear Mitchell Stokes, we write to confirm that your monthly salary for July 2025 is as follows. This, so if I move to number 2, it changes. Representatives, finance HR officer, this is the basic salary. And then we notice the person's net pay is still above 200, so your own will be next week. If we move this still above 200, your own will be next week. Then if we get to number 4, this person is less than 200, your salary is already processed. That is one of the beauty of this. When you continue be printing, you are not going to bother yourself whether it's above 200, whether it's below 200. If it's below, the message the person needs is there. If it's above, the message the person needs is there. Is a very, very powerful feature as an administrative person working with data, working with reporting, doing repetitive stuff, trying to do repetitive stuff. You can use this to send employment letter. Universities make use of it to forward emails to newly admitted students. Admission letter is the same format, is the same template, but different names, different department, different faculty, and what have you, year of study, different year of study, course of study. The admission letter is the same. So you can imagine if a clerk, if an admin officer is typing these names one after the other into the admission letter and be sending, you will notice different errors. Even the person will be very exhausted. It will take days for the department, for that admin department to finish sending out admission letters. But with this, is done with click of buttons. Having linked from the database, those that are being given admission, their names are saved in the spreadsheet, and then link it directly to the mail, to the employment letter on Microsoft Word, and then the rest is history. That is Excel Word Mail Merge. Now to wrap up this session this night, I'm going to show us what we call paste special. I'm going to show us what is paste special. Now let's take for example. Paste special. I want to show us what we mean by paste special. Let's say I copy this. Please follow me. I copy this and say Ctrl C. Let me come to Microsoft Word and paste it. Let me zoom in a bit. Okay. Let me come here and paste it, Ctrl V. You notice what we have here. You notice how this is being pasted. You notice what we have here. Now, let's move again. Let's come down. Let me hit enter again. Now, instead of pasting it with Ctrl V, I will have to come to this paste here, click the drop down arrow, you will see this paste special option, click on it. This will bring out this dialog box. Instead of pasting it straight, I will paste as Microsoft Excel worksheet object. I click on Microsoft Excel worksheet object. Not just that, I click on this paste link. Now when I select this, you see how it is. But if I click on this, you see a link. I'm establishing a link between this document and where I got it from Excel. So once I click OK, automatically it will paste having the Excel format. You notice a slight difference between this and this. You notice slight difference between this and what we have here. This pasted the way it is in Excel. It pasted the way it is like this in Excel. Whereas if you come to this particular one, it has certain space based on what we have here. You see some space based on this is 2, is being broken down into 2, and here we have stuff like this. But that's not just the case. That's not just the case. Let's take for example, we now discover that this person sales rep is not sales rep, it's account. It's an accountant, it's account. The department is the department of account. And here in the employee, here we change it. Here we change it to account. For example, account department. Hit enter. Now I will save it. Let's get back to what we have in Microsoft Word. So here, if we come back here, you notice that if I close this particular work here and open it back, if I close this and open it, let me save it, Ctrl C. Let me save it, close this. Let me close it, and then I need to let me open it from where is it? What name did I use to save it? What name did I use to save it? Okay, I think I will. Let me look for it from here. Okay, that is it here. MS Word Certificate Design. I think so. No, this is this one, monthly salary notification. Once I click on it, it will ask me, opening this document will run this. Do you want? I say yes. Now once that, then it will now tell me this contains a link that may refer to this file. Do you want to update? I will say yes. Now once that is done, let's go back to what we have here. You see that this one still has sales rep. This one we pasted straight. Ctrl V still has sales rep, and this one automatically updates based on the change we made. So this is pasted using paste special as link. So whatever correction that is done to the mother data or the mother table or the source table will automatically reflect. When you open it, it will ask you, do you want to update? So whenever you use Space Special to link stuff from Excel to your Word, when it asks you, do you want to update, you say yes, update, based on the new addition you made. If you don't want, you say no. So that is what we refer to as Excel Word Merge, and then having to learn about Paste Special. And it's on this note that we will wrap up tonight's section. It's on this note we will wrap up tonight's section. Kindly drop your name and your scholarship ID right on the chat box, your name and your scholarship ID, and also let me know how is tonight's section, what did you learn from tonight's section. Your name, your scholarship ID, your feedback, how is tonight's section, what did you learn, what did you learn from tonight's section. Very important, very important. Kindly drop your name, your scholarship ID, and let me know how is tonight's section. How is tonight's section? How is tonight's section? Very, very important. What did you learn from tonight's section? Let me get that feedback from us. Let me get that feedback from us. How is tonight's section, and what did you learn? What did you learn from this night's section? Let me get that feedback. Much appreciated. Let me get that feedback. Let me get that feedback. What did you learn tonight? It was awesome. Excel is magical. Thank you, Praise. Excel is really magical. If you know and understand how to use it, it's really magical. I will encourage us to continually practice. Excel is not like continue to practice. Continue to practice. Understand the functions in your field. Continue to practice them. Tomorrow we are going to be learning something very important, something very powerful as well. From tomorrow we are taking it up further. We are going to be learning something very powerful, very important. Tomorrow we are going to be learning Power Query, data cleaning, Power Query. After that, we will move to statistical analysis. We will move to research analysis, how to make use of the regression, the correlation, having to understand our regression models. After tomorrow, we are heading into that. By next week, regression model, then we begin to talk about power pivots. All right, you said tonight's section was like a discovery for me, getting to know that I can link things from Excel to Word. Beautiful. Thank you so much. I will really appreciate. I appreciate you as well for being available. Thank you. Yes, you can link those stuffs, a lot of things you can use Merge to do, a lot of real world application. All right, now to assignment number two. Create Excel Word Merge using certificate. Design a certificate in Microsoft Word. That's why if you don't know Microsoft Word, I'm very sorry. I will be giving out a sample of certificate to design, and then make it Word Merge with Excel. I will send a sample of OAU certificates. I will send a sample. I think I saw one online. I will download that, send out that sample. Design the OAU certificate as much as you can. But in that, you now link it. Have a sheet in Excel like I showed us here, like we saw tonight. A sheet like this, certificate number, this, like this. Have that sheet. It has to be for 100 students. Let me make it that way. 100 students for your certificate list. This certificate list, and I need to stress this. This is very important. I didn't say it earlier. This must start from A1. Is you don't make it to be, it's not I didn't talk about that earlier. It's not something that we start maybe something like this. No, it has to start from A1. Your first column header must start from A1. That's the rule. It has to start from A1. Please note that. Very, very important. Very, very important. So our assignment number 2 on this week 3 is to create Excel Word mail merge. I have talked about assignment number 1, which is table and pivot table. I will send you a data set or what to do on the group. I will do that. And then number 2 is to create a certificate list. Excel Word mail merge, certificate list, and the certificate link it so that the printing there won't be any mistake, as I have talked about tonight. And then number is still on mail merge. Still on mail merge is admission letter. Here you will have the list of students given admission into department and what have you. Create that list and will give us the column headers. You create the list and then type out the admission letter on Microsoft Word. Type out the admission letter where you will now the name, where the name will be, where the name of the student that is being admitted, the year, the course, the faculty, the year of study, and all that is what you will now link with mail merge from your list in Excel. That is the 3rd one still in the mail merge. That's what our assignment will be. That's what our assignment will be. Thank you so much. All right, someone says, Benedicta said, amazing session tonight. I have gained lots of value. Thank you so much. So that is our assignment. We have basically 3 assignments, but is 3 in 2. Pivot table and table together, and mail merge. Mail merge is 2. Certificate list and admission letter. Certificate list and admission letter. Thank you so much for being part of tonight's session. Tomorrow is what you are not going to miss. Power query, data cleaning using Power Query. One of the things a data analyst must know is how to use Power Query for data cleaning and other stuff. We are going to be looking at that come tomorrow. All right, having thought about that, whom do we submit, sir? You submit to me. Who do we submit? You submit to me, Prince. Have you not submitted your assignment before? You submit all the assignments you have been given, you submit it to my DM. You submit all the assignment to my DM. This is only for those in scholarship. This is only for those in scholarship course. Only for those in scholarship. If you are not on the scholarship group, cohort 2 is starting. And I want to also inform us that cohort 2 will be starting by the ending of August or the starting of September. So if you know anyone, if you have anyone who is willing to participate in cohort 2, let that person reach out to me by Monday, because I will be in camp tomorrow for this cohort 2 mobilization. I will be in camp tomorrow in Ocean Camp tomorrow for cohort 2 mobilization. After that, if we're able to get to 100, then the window is closed for cohort 2. But if we are not, then the window is open for other persons to be part of the cohort 2. So that's where your person can be part of what we are doing here. Your person can be part of the amazing stuff we are doing. Remember, the certificate has been paid for, the training has been paid for. It's just only registration. And currently, the registration for core members is just 2,000 naira. and for non-core members is just 3,500. That's what the registration is. So anybody can be part of it starting from Monday next week. Thank you, and enjoy your night. Have a lovely night rest. See you guys tomorrow. Good night.